Hey gang, Kevin here, Life22. So normally you guys get beautiful, lovely morning day from me. See, the beginning of your day normally starts out with, some local news, some gossip, some drama. And this morning we don't really have that. No, today is more of like a self-help Mondays, which might be part of the show. I'm not running out of topics. I just want to do more research before I present them to you. Like the tiny homes and things like that, I broke it up into three parts. I left out parts that I specifically said I had to do more research on. That I came back with more. So there is some ongoing local stuff that's happening, and I want to make sure that I get my research done before I make any presentation, even if it is in parts. But and so maybe it's not garbage day. Anyways, maybe as a part of the show, since shows always evolve, right? Like same with characters, same with people. Let's make Mondays more of a like, hey man, it's dreary Mondays, but let's get our head in the game. Okay? So life is precious. Life is short, and that's why today's podcast is going to be pretty short. Also, I'm burning the wick at both ends, so just I got to get the kids ready for school here shortly. So making it brief, just like life. You need to savor it. You need to enjoy it, and you also need to be productive, right? Like, what kind of life do you want to have if you don't work hard and then you don't get fruits from your labor, right? So, like, if you don't labor, you're not going to get any fruits. So, and to have a very fruitful life, you're going to want to have to labor, right? And in order to to be more productive in your laboring, that's so I just want to start this week off with just a few principles in life that have become known to me and more put into use and practice, and just keeping them in the back of my head on like a regular basis. And in the last couple of years, these have been phenomenal. So you're waking up, it's Monday morning, you want to get to work, you want to bang out all your tasks. Maybe you have a honey-do list when you get home from your first day of the work week, and you're just like, man, I need to become more efficient. So keeping a couple of these principles in the back of your head are always just reminding yourself, like, man, I wish I could get more done this week, and just constantly thinking about, man, how can I get more done this week? And then thinking about these principles. So one of them is more of a put into practice. It's the 80-20 rule. As most people refer to it, right? It's Pareto's principle. So Pareto's principle pretty much says that that 80% of your outcomes are going to come from 20% of causes, the vital few, right? So that's essentially the 80-20 rule, right? Just like any software that you use at work, any tools that you use, right? Let's say you have a handy dandy device that you use at your job. Apparently you're Blue's Clues. You pull out your device and you look at it, and maybe it has all these extra features and functions, and you're going to be able to use 80% of the devices. Like 80% of your normal use is going to come from 20% of the functions. So if you can complete on a daily basis, the top 20%, if you were to take all the tasks you have to get done in a day and you prioritize them from like most important to least important, and you do the top 20%, that's going to be 80% of your day. Like, you're going to have 80% of your day covered by just that 20%. Which goes to like, that's a good feeling. It's a good satisfaction. If you get 20% of your week, what you intend to get done in a week done, you've actually accomplished 80% of things that you needed to do. Things that were very important. So it's just one of those things. You just keep that in the back of your mind. And then let's also just take this one under consideration. This one is Price's Law. It was written about in the 1960s by Derek DeSola Price. And so a lot of people, so when you're like getting downtrodden, thinking like, man, I'm the hardest working soul around here, just kind of put yourself in perspective with this one. So the rule is, in Dr. Price's, it doesn't say doctor. I mean, he might be a doctor. I'm assuming if you're writing laws, you should be a doctor, right? So, anyways, Derek Price's law comes from, he analyzed the publications of scientific papers and found a quantifier of social loafing. In the research, he found that roughly the square root of the number of people in an organization perform 50% of the work. So Price's law states that as the group gets larger, exponentially less and less people do half of all the work. So while the growth of the overall organization becomes linear or stays linear, the amount of people doing the work is the square root of the total number. So that actually, no, wait a minute. Sorry. While the number of people doing the work stays linear, but the group is growing exponentially. That's what it is. So they give you little charts here. If you were to Google, it shows you social loafing. I guess I'd have to get the definition of social loafing. I'm guessing that means people loafing around, people just kind of like laying on the backs of others. So let's see here, numbers of employees and then people doing 50% of all the work. So yeah, I wish you could scale in with that. So there are nice little charts here. I might even share. I'll put the link in the description below that shows you this. So it's kind of handy. So you're at like maybe 100 people in an organization, and the square root of that is doing all the work. And I always get yelled at by certain people that watch the show because they don't like watching me do math, because they say, they call me a magic R word. So 100 people in your group, and we'll do the square root of that. That means 10 people are doing 50% of all the work, right? And it doesn't always have to be at the top, all right? So just that it's not specifically spelled out in the article, but you got to remember that wheat rises to the top. So, and the chaff floats, or the chaff, well, does chaff float? Oh, I think wheat floats. Yeah, see, I'm using analogies I'm not familiar with the actual processes of. So, as that article, so while you're at 10% of the people now, right? And then let's say you upgrade the group to 1,000 people. You've got a nice, tenfold increase, right? So the square root of 1,000 people is 31.62. So you've got about 31 to 32 people in that group of 1,000 now doing 50% of all the work. So while that number is increasing linearly, the group is increasing exponentially. So it just tells you. So, and then like in these charts that you're going to see, if you do follow the links, they're going to show you an incompetence to number of competence to number of employees. So the competent number stays linear, and then they're declaring it incompetent number of employees. So like to the number of employees, it actually grows exponentially. So you got to think, because that's 31 divided by 1,000 is like 3%. Versus before it was 10%. So significantly, the percentage is decreasing on the number of competent people. So if you start to think about those things and then say to yourself, man, I'm going to be part of the competent people. And then there's degrees of competence, and there's degrees of productivity, and there's degrees of all these things, right? So if you strive to be the most competent, the most productive, you are going to have a very successful life. You are going to generate a lot of fruits from your labor. And that said, it's not going to exclude you from any bullshit that there is out there. But, it might be a good way to look at your Monday. So you're waking up Monday morning, you say, well, I'm not putting myself in the incompetent category. The exponential number of people that are out there, right? The meek will inherit the earth. Competence, I'm going to be in the competent category. So I'm going to be doing a lot of work. I'm going to be getting it done. I'm going to bang it out as fast as any other employee, regardless of the cost. And sometimes those costs are you get razzed by other people. Maybe you're in a union position and people are like, hey man, you need to stop working so hard because you're making the rest of us look bad. And you get a lot of social pressure about, how hard you're working. And it's like, you know what, but even if you're working hard, like if you're doing it all the time, it seems like you're putting forth minimal effort after a certain period of time, because it just becomes normal, right? I've been working out for the last 2 months, and every morning it still seems like a drag to have to do it, but once I get going with it, it's like, man, and every day it is easier and easier to do the workout. And that probably means that I have to actually like increase the amount of time working out or the weight or whatever, but over time, the amount of effort you're exerting seems like it gives you the perception that you are putting forth little or no effort, where you're actually probably putting in 100 times the amount of effort that most people are doing. So just a little thing to wake you up this morning. So, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast over the weekend where we did an interview with Pretty Gary. I hope you enjoyed all last week's, and I hope this week works out great for you. Remember, life is short, time is precious. We're only here for a limited amount of time, and so take some of these principles to heart and take them with you into the world. Put them in your tool bag, and just go kill it out there, man. Just do a good job. Go bang it. Go bang it out. Get your job done. Be productive. And then at the end of the day, when you have more free time, you're going to be so much happier because you're going to be like, man, I can sit down and actually enjoy this beer. I can enjoy this cigarette, whatever your vice is, right? You can sit down and enjoy it because you know that you were super productive for majority of your day, and you got 80% of it done because you did 20%. You did 20% of the number one things on your list. The top 20, you got them done, and you banged it out, and now you're productive, and now you're better than most, and now you're in line for that promotion. Maybe your personal business is successful. Maybe just the satisfaction alone is just what drives you. But well, that's it, guys. We'll see you next time. Life22. See you tomorrow morning for the morning show. Deuces.